as we wrap the show, Justin, I would be remiss if we don't spend a little bit of time talking about God's team. Let's be honest, the Seattle Mariners, back in the playoffs. A 2-year drought from they had a cup of coffee in the playoffs in 2022, and of course their last major run was 0-1, the 116-game season, bounced out in 6 games in the ALCS by the New York Yankees, marking 2 years in a row because that happened in 2000 as well. But however, this year, the Mariners did not back in to the playoffs. Oh, no, my friend. It wasn't because other teams lost. It was because they won and went on a huge tear in the month of September until the final series against the Dodgers, when you could argue they're not putting up their best lineup in those games anyway, although they did have a chance to win the first 2 games of that series before taking this 5-day break here. As of tomorrow the division series starts. They'll be against who are they against at this time? It's not Detroit. I was all of a sudden thinking Toronto. They're against Detroit. It's Toronto and New York in the other bracket. I mean, how have you been enjoying? There's nothing like playoff baseball, and I mean, football is. I'll be honest, football is my favorite sport. I love it. I'm digging my Hawks this year, but and all the haters on Sam Darnold, I'm glad that he's being efficient, and Las Vegas is discovering what we've known about Geno Smith the entire time. But anyway, that's beside the point. Have you been enjoying this run up to the playoffs? I mean, there's nothing like it. Every pitch is like white knuckle.
Yeah, I know. It's been a great season. It's interesting because I haven't had this much connection to this team probably since the 01 days and the 95 days. So, I was a kid. I was a baby when the Mariners first made the playoffs in 1995. I was 10 years old. The refuse to lose season, 95 saved baseball in Seattle for forever, possibly. They've kept, where the team was supposed to get sold after that season, except for they made that incredible run in the playoffs. I was listening to a game. I can't remember who they were playing, but they had Jay Buhner on the broadcast for the radio, and he was talking about the similarities between that 95 team and this team, and I just immediately just kind of connected to that.
That was in the Houston series because Buhner lives down in Texas now. So they brought him up to the booth to broadcast there. Yeah, I was, I'm an old man, so I was 15, 95, and I remember that very well and very vividly. And me and my buddies, actually, we would go to see a lot of the AAA games and in Cheney, and then when the major leaguers would come through on their rehab assignments and stuff, and we'd meet them. So it was it was really cool. And I used to sit, of course, in 95, you got to remember the Mariners had won nothing up until that point.
Right.
And if you remember in the early 90s, well, you don't, because you were like 5. But anyway, Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. played together on the Mariners, first father and son, and Sr. was in left field, Jr. was in center. In the Kingdome in those days, in left field, it got down really close to the field, and they had a big plexiglass wall in front of the front. And also in those days, you could buy a ticket for the 300 level and then go sit anywhere you want. They just let you, once you were in, you could go wherever you wanted to. And so we would always buy, a nosebleed seat and then go sit for a while. We'd sit in, the 100 section behind home plate, and then we'd go somewhere else. But I would go sit behind left field, right in between where Griffey Sr. and Griffey Jr. were playing. And I would yell at them all game long, just trying to get them to say hi, which they did. And I think they got fairly annoyed with me, but hey man, YOLO, right? I mean, you got if you're there, you got to take your shot. So those are cool, but it's cool now. And then of course the other interesting storyline is you have Dan Wilson and Edgar Martinez on this 2025 team. The Mariners have only been to the playoffs with Dan Wilson and Edgar Martinez as an active part of their team. Now, here's something else. Here's another story. I was talking to my son about this because he's enjoying the games too. We're playing Detroit. Now, we actually did well against Detroit in the regular season, so hopefully that will portend well to the postseason. But all bets are off. Who knows? America, the Mariners is what I meant to say. I get it confused because I mean they're America's team, they're God's team. We know them.
Absolutely.
So when they went to the ALCS, they did it in 95. They did it in 2000 and 2001. In 95, they went to the championship series against the Cleveland Indians, and they lost in 6, and Cleveland went to the World Series. In 2000, 2001, they lost to the Yankees, but again, all in 6 games. Mm-hmm. I was actually hoping to play the Guardians just because I wanted to vanquish those demons. I want to beat Cleveland in this, and then I want to go beat the Yankees and go to the World Series. And I want to see old, I want to see old footage of old Yankee Stadium and Bernie Williams, if you remember him from the Yankees, how he would walk all the way around the batter's box and back and forth, take about 15 minutes between each pitch, and take in the night air as you know before he would swing. No offense to Bernie Williams, they had some amazing players in those days, but I just wanted to see all that history come back and repeat itself and rhyme and do that. But again, I'm an old man and I live in the past. So, but for right now, like I'm really excited. I'll tell you what, I'm not super nervous. Usually I'm nervous going in, but I'm not nervous. Not that I'm like, oh, we're going to, destroy them. But I actually feel like the Mariners have maybe still the best and deepest roster in the AL, although the hitting on the Yankees scares me a little bit, especially with our bullpen. We do not have a strong relief. I'll pause there because you should probably say something about that. But I have a stat I want to share with you before we go.
Yeah. The thing that scares me about the Yankees is their left-handed starters. Mariners do not do well against lefties. That's just been the case this year, unfortunately. But it's a different team. They have Gino Suarez. They got Josh Naylor. They got both of those guys at the deadline, and that's made a huge difference for this offense. So, and again, it doesn't matter. I was listening to an interview yesterday. Was saying that in October momentum matters more than rosters because there's just something to it. You get the Mariners have had, as you mentioned, 17 of 18 in September before they took the weekend off against the Dodgers, and so they've got a lot of momentum, and the city's behind them, and we're gonna see how far this goes. This would be a pretty incredible run if they can make it to the World Series. First time in franchise history. So
we're the only pro team that's never been to in baseball that's never been to the dance. So that'd be nice. At least we're not. When we were in our playoff drought going up to 2022, we had the longest playoff drought of any professional team anywhere in the created universe. I mean, just embarrassing. But anyway. Here's something interesting. You mentioned they don't hit well off of lefties, and that's true, which is weird because they do have their fair share of righties in the lineup. But do you know, and I don't know, maybe it's just a function of pitching now. You do see a lot of guys hitting the mid to high 90s. Detroit, their ace is, throwing 101 sliders, 101 101 splitters. That's what I'm looking for. Just incredible pitching going on. And so we see batting averages, almost all of them are under 300. There were only 7 big leaguers this year that qualified in terms of to have an average over 300 recognized. It was, Trey Taylor's trailer in the National League, and then, of course, Aaron Judge in the American League. Trey Turner, I'm sorry, at 304, and then Aaron Judge won the AL and overall MLB at 331, but only 7. So 5 other guys hit or more than 300. Everybody else is in the 2. So a 250 batting average apparently now is good. Do you think that has made baseball better or worse?
That's a good question. I mean, you look at some of the things that pitchers do now. You mentioned Tarek Skubal. He's the Detroit ace. Seattle U grad, by the way. So he gets to come home in front of the home crowd and pitch on Sunday. That'll be an interesting game.
I hope he comes home and fails, but that's just me. Go ahead.
That's just, yes, absolutely. But I mean, you see the way that, everything is higher octane, the pitch faster, the spin rates are crazier. Balls darting out of the zone like crazy. You got these pitchers that can only go 5 or 6 innings because they throw so much junk that they just it's not like the 90s or 80s or Nolan Ryan, Randy Johnson. Those guys are throwing 150 pitches a game with a rubber arm. Like those days are gone. But now you've got these guys pitching these insane pitches. Hitting 250 is a and the game has changed. The game has changed. They've tried to work counts and do things differently.
Yeah, and you've got limits to mound visits. You've got the pitch timer, all that kind of stuff. I used to get on pitchers for not going past the 6th inning, but actually I realized one of the big reasons why, since analytics has taken over the game, the numbers for batters that do better on their 3rd time against a pitcher in a single game goes up. I mean, it's like a rocket, goes straight up. So you're starting to see just, pitchers getting the hook early 6th inning or maybe through the 6th inning, not so much because they can't pitch 7 or 8, but because the batters are getting an advantage and analytics really rules the day in baseball. Yeah. Another fun fact, and then I would know you got to go and we all got to do stuff. one of the America dream matchups, or at least that are in some of the memes in my circles of social media, are they'll say the World Series that the media wants is like New York Yankees versus Philadelphia
Dodgers probably.
Yeah, we have Dodgers. Yeah, sure, go ahead, put them in there. But the one that America wants is the Brewers and the Mariners, and that also would be cool because do you know who the Brewers were before they were the Brewers?
Seattle Pilots.
There you go. Seattle versus Seattle. Plus, we get a bunch of Bob Uecker stuff, and that's hilarious. So it's like a win-win-win.
They have also – there was something I had read that they have never won the World Series. They've been, but they've never won it. So that would be an interesting kind of storyline. I was personally rooting for a postseason version of the Vetter Cup. I don't know if you followed that at all between Seattle and San Diego, but San Diego sadly lost out in the wild card round.
Yeah, no, that will not be happening this year. But it did happen a little bit in the season. That was good. All right, man. This has been fun. Next week, more stories to come on Cross Politic Countdown. And probably, I don't know, I hope we're not lamenting what a great season the Mariners season was, but looking on and into the current American League Championship Series. But we will find out next week.